Dat is 16 minute oor 7 uur. Welkom terug hier op Morning Live op SABC 2, and we off to Cape Town now. The Saartjie Baartman Centre is an organization which supports women and children who are subjected to abuse. It is situated on the Cape Flats. This centre offers services such as counselling, crisis response, job skill training, as well as legal advice to women and children who have been victims of abuse. Now, according to the centre, they have seen a 65% increase in the number of women and children who access their services during the past year. We talked to Beverley Houston. Beverley is the spokesperson of the Saartjie Baartman Centre, and she joins us from Cape Town studio. Beverley, good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, thanks.
Thank you very much for coming through. Now, the Saartjie Baartman Centre opened its doors back in 1999, and it is situated in the Cape Flats. Does the centre only cater for women and children in the Cape Flats?
So the centre is a one-stop centre for all women affected by violence, women and children affected by violence. While we are based in Manenberg area, we would service all women who fit into that criteria. So it is a centre where women can come as an emergency shelter should they be impacted by abuse and violence, where we assist them.
Now, 65% increase in the need of your services, like I said on my intro, it's quite a huge number. What could be the contributing factors here?
There are a number of factors. I think in general, society is becoming more and more violent. I think if you look at the rationale and the reason behind that, the high rates of unemployment, substance abuse, alcoholism, it just seems to be becoming a worse scenario as kind of time goes on. So it's something that we're very aware of. We've started a program going into senior schools where we're educating young people about the impact of violence, because all too often what they see at home is what then is carried into their everyday lives. So while they might be messaging that violence is wrong, abuse is wrong, we all know that it's wrong, what they see is not necessarily the same as what they hear. And we have found that time and time again, what you experience is what you do in the end. So we have launched the program further out than just educating women who come to us to seek assistance. We also go into the community and try and teach people about violence, the impact that it has, and how it can be resolved.
Now, the education part of things, like you're saying, Beverley, are women aware if they are in abusive relationships?
All too often people are in denial about the fact that they are in an abusive relationship, or they try and convince themselves that things will get better. Unfortunately, all too often things don't get better, and by the time that they are seeking help at the centre, the situation is pretty dire. And so we try and avoid that by going into the communities and educating women about the services offered at the centre, about where they can go to seek assistance, how they would go about reporting an incidence of abuse and violence. And I think as well what you need to be very aware of, we talk about extremely high stats of violence against women and children, yet those are just the reported figures. So all too often incidences of violence are not reported. And so I think that in most incidences we're just really seeing kind of the surface of a very real problematic situation.
Now, you're also concerned about the punishment that perpetrators get, with only about 3% conviction of the reported cases. Why is this concerning?
It's concerning on all levels. Again, it goes back to the fact that a lot of the time, if an incident of abuse is reported, perhaps a woman then withdraws that report because she gets scared or intimidated. All too often when they go to report the incidents to SAPS, the experience itself isn't really kind of conducive to feeling comfortable. So all too often women actually then kind of withdraw the case because they become scared, they become intimidated, and it's very difficult to prove as well. So unfortunately, many cases kind of don't make it to the end where the person actually gets convicted. And then that person doesn't serve really a substantial amount of time. They come out of, they might be convicted, but the time that that they serve for their punishment is not particularly long, and during that time they also don't get educated themselves about why their behavior was wrong, how they can change their behavior patterns, how to manage their anger and all of those kind of things. So there are a number of factors behind that.
Well, Beverley, that's where we're going to have to leave it there. That's Beverley Houston. She is a spokesperson of the Saartjie Baartman Centre, joining us from our Cape Town studio this morning. Well,